I want to introduce you to the law offices of Vincent W. Davis at 888-888-6582. They're advocates for the rights of parents, grandparents, and guardians in juvenile dependency courts. Losing a child to a DCFS CPS social worker based on an anonymous call, complaint, or your ex-spouse is not only horrific, but it's commonplace. Everyone will agree that there's nothing more valuable than one's child. You cannot afford to fight this alone. Call the law offices of Vincent W. Davis at 888-888-6582. Connect with an attorney today. That's 888-888-6582. Get your kids back.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Fight CPS with Sabrina, and I'm your host for this evening. We don't have a guest tonight, so it's just us. I guess I can go over a couple of things. You know, I spend a lot of time online doing a lot of research on all this and hearing other people's stories and what they're going through. And I've scrolled down through like 50 or 60 videos that I've already seen on YouTube, and one randomly popped up from 3 weeks ago, and I thought I'd share that with you guys. First of all, when it first started, it said you'll only hear this on Fox, whatever it was, it's in Texas, which really bothers me because it should be playing everywhere. Anyway, so a mother of, I think, 8 or 9 children was having a problem with her 14-year-old daughter. She wasn't going to school and getting into a little bit of trouble, so she reached out to CPS for help, and they put her in a hotel, which I'll get to that in a second. They put her in a hotel, and the social worker is telling her to prostitute herself. So the girl goes back and talks to her mother about it and says how upset she is that the social worker keeps telling her to put herself in situations to, prostitute herself. So she decides that she's going to videotape it, and she gets the whole thing on camera. It's like really just right to the point. The social worker is telling her if she wants to eat, she's hungry, the girl's saying she wants to eat and she needs food, and they told her that she would have to prostitute herself. So luckily, the video made it to this one channel on the news, and the social worker did lose her job, but there's no way that this was only happening to this one girl. And that's just so terrifying to think that they're doing this. And so I looked into it a little more, and apparently this is happening a lot. And the whole hotel thing, you're going to take kids out of situations and put them in a hotel. And I've been in plenty of hotels to know that that's not a safe situation for a kid or a teenager. Unless you're in like some really super nice hotel, which they're not putting them in. It's kind of scary. And for someone who is so, upset already and going through a hard time, and, they can, what happens. It's all bad. Also, I heard another story this week. You guys, I don't know if you've heard this one already too. Foster mom adopts 5 children and then packs them all up in a van and drives off a cliff. Like, these are our kids that they're placing with these people, and they're dying. The last time I checked, it was 1 in 6 kids are dying in foster care. Like, that is so not okay, and something has to happen. And these videos that I'm watching, they're not just from recent, but years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago. And it's the exact same things that are happening right now. And nobody's doing a thing about it. It really, really blows my mind. Another case that I heard just recently was a father was pro-marijuana, and I don't know what he had put on social media, but something like a weed plant or whatever. And so social services came and took away his child, saying that he was advertising marijuana. They took the kid, and 2 weeks later he died. Like, you don't think he was better off at home with his father? Like, it's just so crazy. Like, really crazy. Anyways, so those are my little horror stories that I wanted to share with you. I also wanted to go over a few things. I had a couple videos sent to me over the last couple weeks, and I thought it'd be important to share with you guys. You really need to be careful how you are interacting with these social workers. I know that it is like the hardest thing in the world to have to like realize that these people are going to take my children from me right now, and only a normal person is going to be upset and act out and tell them, F off, no, you're not taking my kids. But I got to tell you, it is not in your best interest to react that way. A few videos that I saw, it was really traumatizing for the child because the parents started getting completely out of control and crying, freaking out. The police officers ended up having to lay hands on her to get her down, and the kids were just so traumatized over it. So as much as you can for your kids, like, try as much as you can to keep it together, because on top of that, now they're going to look at her like she's a crazy person, like she's not a good mom, whatever the hell they're going to make up, right? So it's really important to kind of try to keep your composure. When you're nice and calm, it makes them nervous. They want you to react. They want you to get upset so they can make you look like an idiot. And you just really need to try to keep your composure. Also, if they're at your door demanding that they need to come in and see your child, I was just recently told that you can actually stand at your front door without letting them in and lift their shirt up or their pants, depending on their age or whatever, to show the worker that there's no marks on your kids or whatever they're saying. Like, you don't absolutely have to let them in when they say that. Even when they say that they have documents, that they have a warrant from the judge, make sure that it actually is a warrant from the judge. A lot of times it is just a paper that is from the social worker with the social worker heading on it, saying that they want to come investigate, and there is no actual warrant to come in. Unique. They're kidnapping. Absolutely. And just when I thought that it couldn't get worse, now I hear this prostitution thing, and it's like a lot more than you think. A lot more workers have been in trouble and not been in trouble for prostituting their kids. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But yes, Unique, you're absolutely right. Also, if they're trying to tell you that they're taking your kids because you don't believe in vaccines, or you're vegan, or you're homeschooling your kids, you really need to stand your ground and know that there's a lot of help out there, like advocates, and for like homeschooling, there's like your homeschooling corporation or whatever that you're working with. They always have people that can help you to stand up for yourself. You shouldn't lose your child because they're homeschooled or because you're vegan or you don't believe in shots. That's just really ridiculous. And I'm so tired of these people bullying everyone. And, somebody was asking me what the law is with CPS and if they're allowed to do so-and-so or whatever. And the answer is yes. Like, it doesn't matter what the law says. The law says that unless the child is in immediate harm or danger, that they're not supposed to take the kids. They don't care. They just do whatever they want. And so the answer to that is like really mind-blowing, because like they can literally say whatever they want, and they do it all the time. I had somebody just the other day telling me that he went out of his house with the kids, and his wife was in the hospital, so we had his teenagers babysitting the kids for a few hours. And then after mom was out of the hospital, whatever, CPS shows up and says that they left them home alone for 3 days. And that wasn't the case at all. But the social worker put that in the paperwork. And so that's what the judge went with. Okay, Jenny, both my grandson almost died in CPS custody. The 4-year-old has had head injuries. I was told he was suffering meth withdrawal, bloody nose, convulsions, vomiting, blacking out. The one, yes, had a broken collarbone, supposed reaction from immunizations that left him paralyzed. Oh my gosh, Jenny, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's awful. Oh, it really breaks my heart to hear this stuff. You know, there should be help available to people that need it. You know, like Jenny was saying, the baby was showing meth, withdrawals. And if that's the case, like, their best interest should be to get that child, clean, withdrawn, help the mom and help them be a family again. And they don't do that. They just rip people apart. And it's so unreal. Another video, sorry, I know I keep saying a lot of videos, but another one was really upsetting to me. I don't know why CPS was there, but Dad pulls out his video camera somewhere towards the end of what's going on, and the social workers are there, and there's 2 police officers. They have 2 sons, fairly young, and they're telling him, the father, that they're going to take the kids, and he's telling them, no, you're not, and the whole argument. And the police officer literally picks the kid up and throws him under his armpit and carries him out to the car, and the kid is freaking out, screaming bloody murder. And the other kid, the other officer, is grabbing him by his sweatshirt and pulling him. They put both of them in the back of 2 separate cop cars. Like, are you kidding? How traumatizing is that? You think that's better and safer for our kids than just being at home? They make their own rules. Yes, they do. They make their own rules, and I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. And, it's one thing making up their own rules, but taking that shit to court and changing somebody's life completely is it's ridiculous. Janessa says, that is why we all have to make a stand. Absolutely. That is exactly what we need to do. And if anybody has any ideas on what you think would be a good idea to do this, I know we're supposed to vote and, that whole ordeal. I don't know how much of that I think is real. I think that it doesn't matter what we vote a lot of the times, that they just do what they're going to do. I think that we need to take advantage of the fact that, we have the internet the way it is and social media, and take advantage of that and show as many people as we possibly can what is going on with our children, and show like videos of our children. And I know it's been really difficult trying to get any videos, especially after going through something so traumatic with them. You just want to be done with it. I know. But I think if other people see our kids, and not just us as bad parents, but see the torture that they're doing to our kids, I think it would make a big difference. Also, everybody who's listening right now, you guys all know somebody who has kids. And I think it's really important that you educate your friends, your family, whoever the kids are, whoever the parents are, and seriously educate them on what is happening. Because this is a huge, huge epidemic right now. Kids are being taken left and right, and they don't care. And so it's beneficial to everyone around you to explain to them what you're going through, and explain to them how the system works, and to really prepare the kids, for if the, social workers do show up, or they do go to the kids' schools. Kids have rights, and we need to teach them that. And a lot of people don't understand how this system works. They don't understand that social services is crooked. They don't know because they haven't been through it. And you could really help a lot of people if you just spread that around. And I know it's difficult because you don't want to tell people that, you're dealing with social services, but it's really important to educate everybody around us so we could try to prevent this from happening. Also, back to what I was saying with, really keeping your composure when you are dealing with this. I can't tell you how many times people are looked really bad upon because they had a temper or because they reacted too much. And so I just want to bring that up again. Like, please stay as calm as you can with these people. Try to pretend in your head that you're a office manager or whatever, and treat them like that versus somebody who's taking your children. Not just for the kids, but for yourself, for your case, all that. Another thing is what you wear. It's really important that when you go to court that you dress properly. Judges and lawyers and everybody in that room is judging you already, and they absolutely are judging you on what you're wearing. Also, when the social workers do show up at your house, if you're wearing ripped pajamas or whatever, and the kids aren't wearing clothes or whatever, they write all kinds of stuff to make it look really bad, worse than it really is. So do not let them in your house if it's the end of the day and you're getting the kids ready and everything's kind of a mess, or don't let them in no matter what. But if they are trying to get in and it's kind of a bad time to talk to them, just tell them that they need to come back, reschedule. Don't let them in your house at all. And make sure that when you are going to your meetings with these workers and you are going to court and you're going to your visits, dress appropriately. If you're like me, I like a lot of makeup. They judge you by that. They judge you by your appearance, what you wear, how you, hold yourself. And also, I've been hearing a lot of people, when their kids are being taken from them, I hear the parents telling the kids, don't worry, I'm going to get you out of this tonight. I'm going to get you out of this tomorrow. Don't worry, you'll be home this weekend, whatever it is. And as much as you believe that and think this is wrong, they're not doing this legally, and so they can't do this, don't say it. Refrain from saying anything like that, because the kids, hear you saying, this weekend. And when this weekend they're not home, and next weekend and next month, it really traumatizes them. And, also as a parent, telling them you're going to be right home and they don't, it kills you even more. Terry says, properly means according to the circular standards. Yeah. Terry, you're right. Yeah. Back to what we were saying. Not only is it important to, hold yourself up high, it's really important that you don't swear. Because if you start swearing, even if you say one or two swear words, they're going to immediately document that you're irate, that you are out of control, that you need anger management, whatever it is. I see video after video after video of people telling these social workers to F off, and you're not effing taking my kid, and things like that. And as much as I know, I've been there, I wanted to say that too, you just can't. It will really, really make you look bad. And, if going back to, what you wear for court, I didn't realize, I figured that going to court, you should be presentable as if you're going on a job interview. And on one of Vince Davis shows from quite a while ago, he was, explaining what you should wear to court. And one of the things that they said was high heels. And I absolutely love my high heels. Um, I I don't even own a pair of low heels. And so when he said that, you can't wear high heels like that because they're, the judges and they're older and they, look upon that badly. And so it is really important to dress right. He says to wear your hair up in a ponytail or a bun and wear like a pearl necklace and earrings and, a nice suit. Because you don't want to go into court and, not bring your best case. And dressing your best is bringing your best case. And, it's really important to stand up for yourself because if you don't, nobody else is. They're trying to bring you down and you need to show them that they're wrong. And even if that means, not really being yourself, as much as I hate, I would hate to tell someone not to be yourself. But when it comes to this game, you kind of have to be that perfect image that they want you to be. And even then, they still are horrible people. Also, we went over this before my last shows. Make sure that if they are at your door with the police, make sure that before you let them in, that you go over the paperwork to make sure that it actually is signed by a judge. And make sure that the police understand if it's not signed by a judge, that it's just a recommendation from the social worker. You know how many times I hear the cops saying that, oh, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, it'll all be taken care of in court. Don't worry that, the social worker shouldn't be taking your kid right now. You'll deal with all that in court. They don't really care, and they don't really even know or understand a lot of the times. So it's best to treat them with the utmost respect, no matter what the situation is, and explain to them, that in the calmest way that you can to make yourself look good. Because if you're screaming and yelling at them and cursing, they're not going to think that, they're not going to give you that much respect. So if you, respectfully talk to them and explain to them that, officer, I don't know if you realize that, they're legally kidnapping our kids, and explain to them whatever. Doesn't really matter what you say. They're going to go off of what the social worker said. But, I really wish that we could have more education for the police officers, because they don't understand. They just go from what the worker says. A lot of the times they don't even look at the paperwork. They don't care about what the paperwork says. They're just going off of what the social worker told them 5 minutes before they knocked on your door. And, it's ignorant. It's ignorant for them not to know what's going on with CPS. And, they've got to know somewhat when, you see a social worker who barely looks like she graduated high school and telling you, when your house is perfect, your kids are perfect, clean, there's no immediate danger. This is just some stupid allegation. And they should realize that it's not right what they're doing, but they don't really have a choice. They just kind of have to go with what the social worker says. And then the police will tell you that you can just deal with this in court. And it's not even true. Most of the time you won't even get to, make your case in court at all, which just really ticks me off too. Let's see. Also, when I was saying about reacting in front of the kids, as hard as that is, I'm going to say it again. Be on your best behavior no matter what. It's so heart-wrenching. It's literally like they're ripping your heart out and shredding it to pieces. And Like, you would do anything for your kid. Like, are you kidding? I would take bullets for my kids. Like, you're not going to take my kids, right? And that is like the worst situation you can be in, but you really need to like have composure and, you know, give them respect so they will respect you as much as possible, because usually they won't respect you. Um, but for your kids' sakes, just to hold your composure and to look good in front of the worker, it's definitely worth it to, stop and take a deep breath, count to 5, or whatever it is that you have to do to keep your calm around these people. And I'm just so tired of people losing their kids because, they mouthed off at the worker and has nothing to do with the kids at all. Also spanking. I don't know. I think that everybody looks at it differently. The last time that I really looked into it, you are allowed to spank your kid as long as you don't leave a mark. And doesn't matter that that's what they say, because if you admit at all at any point in time that, yes, we've tried spanking, we've tried timeouts, they're just going to immediately, pick at that you, hit your kid, once and just barely and never left a mark. Also, when it comes to them asking you questions about your family, about your spouse, you can't tell me that there's ever been a couple that doesn't fight. And when they ask you these questions, they ask you them in a way that it feels like it's a safe space, that, it's for your best interest. Do not let them know that you've ever fought, ever. Even if you have, it's none of their business, and they will use it against you. They look at it as if you, have been hit, then you're more likely to hit, which is just complete ridiculousness. I mean, really, it's like the farthest thing from the truth. For me anyways, like, my parents hit me like way worse than they should have. And the thought of hitting my daughter, I can't. So the fact that they say that people who have been abused are abusers is ridiculous, but it is how they do it. That is how they judge you. It is what they're trained to do. And this is not just happening here in California and America. Like, this is happening everywhere. I'm originally from England, and I've been seeing a few videos in England and other countries, and the way that they're taking the kids away are like so ridiculous. And Terry, it says spanking is a state standard, so know your state's laws on that. Okay, thank you. That's a good point. But what my point is that no matter what the state standard is on spanking, the second you tell a social worker that you have ever spanked your kid, they put you in a category and tell you that, that you need to have their services and that they're going to take your child away for spanking, even though if it is a standard in your state. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So just be really careful about that. Same thing with drugs. I hate to say this, but if you if you did drugs like 3 or 4 days before you see a social worker, like, don't let them, take your samples. Don't let them give you any kind of drug test that you're going to be positive on. I hate to say that because I hate the thought of, drug addicts, having their kids, but I've seen some better drug addicts be parents than my own parents. So, yeah, but don't give them any kind of a dirty test. I have a friend who is going through this. The social workers told her that that she is totally fine if she drug tests dirty, that they just need to see her levels coming down, And as long as they see her levels coming down, she's going to be okay. It is wrong. It is so wrong. They're setting her up. It's a trap. I've seen it over and over again. They will tell you that, number one, they'll tell you that, oh, well, you were on drugs, so no, we need you to do more classes or whatever. Or they will tell you that within the time frame that you had for your court dates, you only had a certain amount of months to give a certain amount of clean tests. So even though your levels are coming down, they're not clean tests. So they're going to tell you, no, you're not going to get your kids back at this point because you haven't given us enough clean tests. And then they're going to either give you more time to fight, or they're going to take your parental rights away. So that's definitely a setup. It's a trick. Don't buy it. Don't ever admit, even if you did pot or drugs or whatever in high school or middle school, don't admit to anything ever. No matter what, you need to tell them no, because they will use that against you as well. I have another friend who is going through the same thing, and it's just so ridiculous. Janessa, depending on what your state law says, you may not even have to speak with them directly. Have an attorney do the talking for you. Yes, you are 100% correct. If you are, if you have that option to have an attorney, that's like the best thing you can do is tell them that you're not going to speak to them unless your attorney is present. A lot of the times, though, they target people who can't afford attorneys, and public defenders sure the heck won't do that for you. They don't care about you. And so they really target people who can't afford lawyers. A lot of the times when they do get to people who are wealthy and have lawyers, they kind of just drop the cases. Although now it's, they're targeting more and more and more because the money they're making is just ridiculous. But I've definitely seen that with all my hours and sitting in these courtrooms. I'm telling you, I've never seen more than one or two people with private attorneys. It's hard, to be able to afford it. Let's see. If your court-appointed attorney does not want you to represent you the fullest of their ability, then you can contact the Bar Association. But every attorney takes the oath. That is how they... Yes. Well, that is how you would think it is, but it's not. At least not here where I'm at. I'm in California. The attorneys that are court appointed, they don't really care. They all work together. So it was really shocking to me when I first learned this. It's just so ridiculous because you think that this attorney is there to help you. We're talking about the most precious thing in the world, your child. And, to learn that, no, this attorney does not have my back at all. And, I've heard them talk privately. They didn't even care that I was there. And the social worker, the child's attorney, the public defender, they're all on the same page. And they all do the exact same thing that they tell each other to do. They're not after your best interest because they make a lot of money. Terry, you're doing great. Stay strong, Sabrina. Oh, thank you so much, Terry. You guys do. This is so heartbreaking to see how many people are going through this. It really kills me. It does. It is so difficult. And, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups about this. And sometimes, I just have to turn my phone off and, not look at it for a few days because I literally cry over this stuff. And it's so upsetting. Let's see, Chris. Boy, they sure will use anything against you, even if it was 20 years ago. And that's what I'm saying. Yep. Even from 20 years ago. Even if you were in elementary or school or middle school and you tell them that you smoked pot once with your friends behind the bleachers, you're automatically a drug addict for life. It's just really upsetting. Chris says, I've been fighting DHS system 3 years. That's how long I have seen or talked to my son. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I really wish you the best. That's really upsetting. Not just to you, but to your children. Like, they did the same thing with me. My story's kind of difficult because I've been dealing with them since I was a kid, and they wouldn't take me away. And my mom took advantage of a situation and took my daughter and refused to give her back and kept lying to CPS, making up stories. And it was just one thing after another. So that way she can continue getting money from them. Also, she lived in government housing. And so without my daughter there, she was already like packed up, ready to move. So she was able to keep her housing and then got income for her. And she milked it for years and treated me so badly, gave me such a hard time, wouldn't, let me see my daughter. I would call on Christmases, birthdays. She wouldn't let me talk to her ever. She would lie to her and tell her I never called. And finally, towards the end, when the adoption was over and she was no longer getting the money, down to that week, my mom called me and said, come pick her up, take her, she can stay with you. And so she lived with me for a couple of years. And again, with money, it was around the COVID time where they were offering the child tax credit. And I kind of had a feeling. I told my daughter, Nana's going to want you to make an appearance at her house, because this money thing is happening. And my mom was really upset with my daughter because she has behavior issues because of this. Like, she was ripped out of my arms, and I didn't see her for a long time. And she went from having so much love and affection to my mom, who doesn't show any kind of love or affection or anything like that. And it was very, very hard on her. So she has behavior issues and a lot of anger towards my mother. So when my mom figured out she could get the money, right before, she was saying that she wants to undo the adoption, that she doesn't want to be legally responsible for her anymore. Hang on. Janessa, Sabrina, you're right. If you can't test clean, then don't test at all. And even if you're knowing it's going to be clean, then get the test done at a hospital with your own money. Absolutely right. Yes. I think that no matter what, if you're going to give them a test, that you should get your own as well. They've done that to me before. They tried to tell me that I tested positive for everything. So my counselor at the time, she finally realized that I really am being messed with here. Like, I'm not just making this up. So she had my back for that one. But yeah, there's a lot of false positives. I hear a lot too that the social workers will lie about the drug testing, that they will lie about a false positive or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, so my daughter was with me and my mom wanted to give up the adoption, meaning that she wanted me to be able to get her back. But because I technically lost my rights, I didn't think that was a possibility. So my daughter was staying with me, and I had to help my friend out in the hospital. So my daughter was with my mom for the weekend, which she did not want to go. And my mom refused to let her come back home. She was like playing games with us, wouldn't let me talk to her, and decided to call the police on her and have her 5150'd, which I was very upset with. My daughter was able to call me then and didn't call my mom at all. So of course my mom's calling me then, trying to find out what's going on. And she gets out and she's back at my mom's, and not that long later, they get into it again. What I saw was my mom recorded the whole thing on her phone, and she pretty much set the whole thing up and called the police again and demanded from the police that they put her on another 5150 because she wasn't listening. Well, this cop was like one of the first cops that I've ever had any real respect for, because he really saw right through it and he told my mother, no, I'm not going to take her. She does not need to be hospitalized. So they called me. Even though I lost my rights legally, the police called me and told me to come pick her up. And they told me that she would, that she wasn't allowed to see my mom, and that I would be getting contacted immediately by CPS. And I asked over and over again, like, are you sure? Because I lost my rights. Are you sure? Like, I don't want to be in any kind of trouble. I don't want to cause any trauma for my daughter that doesn't need to be. And they told me, yeah, it's not a problem. So CPS doesn't contact us. And it's kind of a long story. Basically, my mom drugged my daughter to try to say that she was doing drugs at my house, which was like impossible. So, and I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, just down to like, she was pushing candies on us, these little saltwater tappies that you can like wrap yourself. And she was really pushing them on us. I'm allergic to bananas, and there was banana flavors. So the only reason why I even remember is because when I got into the car later that day after my daughter was getting blood tests, my daughter said, like, you know, Nana knows you can't eat those. Why was she pushing those on you? And afterwards I realized because she drugged her. The social worker came out to my house, checked everything, checked to make sure that nobody has a warrant, and she really didn't care. She came over. Originally on the phone, she told me that she thinks she's just going to close this case out, that it's not a big deal. She comes over, everything's fine. She promises my daughter that she'll never have to see my mom again if she doesn't want to. I explained again, over and over again, that I lost my rights. Just wanted everybody to be on the same page here. And the social worker told me it's okay, that doesn't matter, that she was going to get together with her supervisor and they were going to write out some kind of documentation that I can be legally responsible for her education and her schooling, which, you know, is what my mom originally wanted, is to not be legally responsible for her anymore because she was scared she's going to get in trouble. You know, drama queen. She's a real big narcissist. And so, yeah, everything was fine. The worker told my daughter she wouldn't have to go back to Nana's ever again. And then we got the announcement about the child tax credit. And then I received a phone call from the social worker telling me that that my husband had a warrant and that my mom was coming to pick up my daughter until it was cleared. Well, I knew that there had to have been some mistake, which there was. We went to the courthouse the next day, and we didn't even see a judge. They just dropped it because it was a mistake. Anyways, I told the social worker that night before, you know, well, what if I leave with my daughter and go somewhere else? Or what if my husband leaves and goes somewhere else? And technically that should have been enough for her to say, okay. And she said no. She was being kind of weird with me. And so she said that my mom's going to come pick her up, and that the second the warrant's clear, that she can come back here. So at the same time she's telling me this, she's telling me that that it doesn't matter that I lost my rights, that my daughter can still be with me, that it's up to my mom because she adopted her. So I had the social worker give me this in writing. I had her text it to me because my mom kept saying, no, that's not true. And then the worker's telling me, yeah, what are you talking about? I just told your mom that. You know, even when we first got the phone call from the social worker and my mom explained to her that she wants to give up the adoption, the social worker told her, like, you can go to jail for that. You can't just give up an adoption. And so instead of telling me that, my mom tells me, oh, I'm in trouble for letting her be with you since you lost your rights. Now, mind you, I'd already asked them many times, you know, what the deal was and if that's okay. And when I mentioned that to the social worker, she was irritated. And she was like, what? That is not what I said. I told your mother that she could go to jail for giving up the adoption, that you can't just give up an adoption. So, you know, so she was already irritated with that. And she took my daughter. My mom came. My daughter was screaming, freaking out, just losing her mind, not wanting to go back there. She just went through all this drama and being stuck in a 5150 hold. You know, she's 12 years old. So it was really traumatic for her. And my mom was supposed to bring her back after the weekend. She said that they were going to go down to Mexico to visit with my brother, who was staying there. And my daughter told the worker, and so did I, that if she goes with my mom, something bad is going to happen. And my daughter was even saying that if she goes back to Nana's, that Nana's going to kill her, or that something really bad is going to happen, or that my daughter's going to hit her, or something's going to happen. And we explained that to her, and she didn't care at all. My daughter went to Mexico with my mom for the weekend and never came back. I have not been able to talk to any of them, and it's been over a year now. And so because of the neglect of the social worker, my daughter's missing in another country. And my mom's playing this horrible game. And it's crazy. Before this, I was best friends with my brother. We talked every day. I even talked to my mom that, we had a hard time growing up because she wasn't the best to me. And I thought we were like getting over that. We spent holidays together, and she was playing me the whole time. And on one of my recent videos, there was a comment that somebody was saying that, if you don't want to have any problems, don't tell your family or your friends your issues. And as hard as that is, she's kind of right, because even though they are your family, we've seen it time and time again where, anything can happen, jealousy, your parents don't agree with who you're dating, a whole spectrum of things. And then they're calling CPS on you. Even the best of us who have great families and, you never think it would happen. It does. It really does. So I kind of agree that, in this day with all this stuff that's going on with CPS, you really have to be careful who you're talking to and who you're friends with. At a drop of a dime, you could say the wrong thing to a friend, or, she could think that you're after her man, because they always do. And they call CPS on you. And it's horrible because they rip families apart. Not just rip them apart, but then rip them up again some more and separate the kids. And, all because you accidentally said the wrong thing to someone. So, as heavy-hearted as it is to say, be careful what you say to your family and friends. It is very true. And that also goes to posting stuff online. Be really careful. I know that when I was originally going through my court case, my mom pulled up everything that I had online, everything on my Facebook, even though it wasn't even bad, but she tried to make it look bad, try to say that I was partying and just crazy stuff. I don't even really use social media, but or I didn't. So, it's just ridiculous. And a lot of the times, the social workers are going off of an accusation. They don't really even have proof. So, they hear these accusations from, whoever it is that calls, and it's their job to find dirt under your nails. And if it's not there, they're going to put it there. That's basically what they do. And even if you think that you are spot on, your house is perfect, your kids are perfect, you've done nothing wrong, this is just a mix-up, it's a misunderstanding, and let me just talk to them because, once they hear me, it's a closed case. And that is what a normal person should think. And it is unfortunately not. It's not the way you need to think with them. No matter what the condition or the shape or whatever, don't let them in your house. Don't let them play you and, let you think that, they're your friends, because they're not. Chris says, man, just one like goes a long way. Oh boy, does it. You're definitely right about that. It is so amazing what, these workers can come up with from the stupidest things. One of the things that they tried to take my daughter from, or no, not really. I asked the police to come or to call my mom so my daughter wouldn't be there They were there because I let a friend stay with me, which seems to be a bad idea a lot of the times. So one of the things they were trying to charge me with was um, what is it? Child endangerment, because there was a knife on the kitchen counter, like up by the sink. My daughter at the time was 4; she couldn't even reach the sink, and so it made me look horrible. But where else do you put your dirty dishes? In the sink or right there next to the sink. And it wasn't dirty dishes; it was just the one knife and a fork. So yeah, one thing, one lie, one whatever it is, allegation, they can really switch and turn and make it something that it's really not. Yeah, so we just need to keep fighting. Our kids don't belong to the state. Our kids don't belong to the government. Our kids belong home with us. And I will spend every last minute of my life fighting for this, because what else are we going to do? We have to keep fighting. As hard as that is, the number one thing that I hear is, people kind of giving up too soon, which doesn't mean it's soon, because, you do a lot. But don't give up. Keep fighting as hard as you can. I guess I will leave you guys with that. Another thing, actually, please make sure that when you are dealing with these social workers, that you ask for identification. There has been another story of a man showing up at the door claiming he's a social worker, and luckily did not get the child. But this is like the 5th or 6th time now that I've heard this. So just be careful. Make sure you're asking for identification. Make sure you take pictures of their identification or video everything that you're going through with them. Like Chris was just saying, one lie can turn into something huge. So it really does help to have it recorded. Record everything you can. Your visits, your court hearings, phone calls, anything and everything, just to, have the best kind of documentation and proof and evidence as you can. So, yeah, if anyone out there is having a hard time and you're not sure what to do, you can reach out to me. I feel so bad for everybody who's going through this, and there's so many people going through it, and it can be really confusing, and it can be, it's really difficult to imagine that this is how it works with CPS, but it is. And I can't tell you like how many times I keep hearing people say that, oh, well, I'm innocent, so I'm just going to talk to them and explain it so they can leave. And that rarely happens. They make too much money off of you and your kids. So we'll go ahead and leave with that. Gosh, it's really like heavy to have to talk about stuff like this. So I wish you guys the best weekend. Keep fighting. Again, if you want to share your story or you want to ask me anything, feel free to reach out. Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys next week. This is Fight CPS with Sabrina, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.